There we go. And I'd like to say congratulations to Darlene on your job. I saw a little post about it. Where are you going to be working?
It's a nature center here just outside of Sacramento. It's called the Effie Nature Center. They've been around for, gosh, I can't remember, many years. So it's right along the American River. They have, native, captive animals, which, I'll just fall in love with, wildlife, birds, reptiles, and that. So, and they do a lot of nature walks and field trips and such like that. A lot of educational stuff just to get the kids out and exploring nature. So they've got tons of hiking trails around the area. So, but I'll be in the office doing office work. So, but hopefully we'll get to spend some time outside.
Excellent. Well, I'm so happy for you. That sounds like so much fun. What a wonderful organization to be a part of.
Yeah. I've been there when my husband's kids were little, and then hadn't been there for a while. And then a friend of mine worked there for a while, and we'd go out and go hiking along the river there. So it's nice to be a part. So we'll see how it goes. First day's tomorrow. So
All right. That's exciting. You have to let us know.
I will. So I'm not sure. My work schedule is going to be pretty crazy. So hopefully I'll be able to still join in eventually, but not sure when I'll be able to join back in. So.
Right. Well, you can always catch the replays too, or send us comments. Oh, good. Mel's joining, so we'll let her in. If you have questions or anything you want to share, go ahead and just send it to us and we can share it.
Okay, will do. Thanks.
And we got Mel joining us, connecting to the audio. And then we'll get started. We don't really have a topic today, so it's just open Q&A, so we can help support each other. And that's what it's really all about. So especially, Lois and Laura, you've started the online program. So if you have any questions, this is a great place to bring them. So does anybody have any questions, anything going on in the world of Reiki, Animal Reiki, that they want to share or ask that the rest of us maybe can input on?
This is Lois. Not yet. I started doing the reading. I'm about halfway through with it, and it's just remarkably different from the human Reiki. So that was very, really stands out to me. And I'm excited about it. I have a cat. I have one sweet cat that just passed away a few months ago, and I could have used this for him. I did try the human on him, and he was sick at home. He had cancer, and it didn't really work out. He would just run away, go hide in the closet and stuff. And so what I ended up doing is just leaving him alone, and eventually he came in a chair and stayed in the room with me, and he was okay with that. He seemed to like me just sitting there with him, which is kind of similar, to like what you guys are saying, creating like just a loving space without, touching him too much.
Right. That's really observant, because it's so true. And I think all of us here can testify to that. I started in human Reiki 18 years ago, and something was always missing. So then I would find another teacher, and I'd take levels 1 and 2 again. And I don't know, I took them 4 or 5 times. I don't know, from all these different teachers. But because my main goal was to help animals. I wanted to work with the animals. They were just a part of who I am. And when I found this method, everything kind of clicked. It made a lot more sense. So it seems so different, right? Because when we work with humans, it's very active. The person comes in, they lay down on the table, and I love to get Reiki sessions. I love to lay down on that table. And then the practitioner, they're the ones that are channeling, and they're putting their hands on you, and they're moving around, and you just lay there in stillness. Whereas with the animals, it's totally opposite. We go in, we become still, we go inward, we just allow this beautiful light that is inside of us to extend out, and then let the animal know that they can step into it for whatever healing they need in that moment. And so we really have to rethink, especially when we've been trained for human Reiki, that we're not doing anything, we're becoming. You know, if we think about it as we're becoming, and I don't know if Darlene or Mary Lynn or Mel has any comments on that, the difference between the human and animal, and how that, I mean, what your experience was with it.
Well, if I may, I
Yes.
find the animal Reiki to be rejuvenating. It is not, well, I volunteer at an animal shelter, animal rescue, here in Vermont is where I live. And so for 2 hours, I'm seeing various animals, mostly dogs and cats, sometimes bunnies, and leave. When I leave, I feel like I have had 2 hours of treatment. You know, I just feel rejuvenated and full of energy and just happy. Oh my God. Yeah. It's more, to me, it is rejuvenating, and people Reiki was not.
Interesting. Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm gonna say the same thing on that. Like when I do Reiki with one of my cats, Dusty especially, when he starts to become still because of me, I get even deeper into the Reiki and I'm almost falling asleep with him.
Yeah.
But it's not because I'm exhausted, but it's because I am so relaxed myself that afterwards I just feel like I had a nice rest. And it's so great because his stillness then balances mine, and it's like a back and forth of it. And we both just on the couch for 15, 20 minutes, and it's just this equal give and take of energy. And it's not where he's taking too much or I'm giving too much or anything. It's just very balanced. And what Lois said about her animal as well, you know, I wish I did some Reiki on my cat too when he had kidney disease, and he always loved it. He would always come and sit with me. I've done it for years with him, but it wasn't enough when he became very sick, which is why I also wish I would have had this training already. You know, I would have been an animal Reiki, you know, practitioner, because it would have been, I think it would have made much more of a difference with him. Because I can see now, again, he came back, you know, he passed and his soul transferred into a new body. And so he is with me yet again for another lifetime, which I'm very fortunate and happy about, you know, and so is he. And now but doing that with him, it's definitely different than with people. Definitely. I agree.
Yeah. And you know, I've had animals that absolutely would not, when I first learned Reiki, human Reiki, and I couldn't wait to use it. I had a Jack Russell puppy and she was just totally wild. And she was finally laying beside me. And I can remember, I thought, oh, this is the time I can give her Reiki. And I put my hands on her and she was laying down, kind of asleep. She looked up at me. She jumped down, went across the room and glared at me. And I was never able to touch her. And so at the time I didn't realize, because I didn't know any better. I thought, oh, this doesn't work. You know, she doesn't like it. But when I would just sit and meditate, she would get at the far end of the couch and lay down there. And so she was accepting all, and for years I just didn't realize that she was, because I had been trained in the human Reiki and I didn't realize there was another way. So they definitely let you know.
Yeah, for me, my experience, it's like I trained in human Reiki 2 years ago, and tried it with my dogs at the time. I had Skip and Roxy at the time, and it's like, nope, they just didn't want to have anything to do with it. It's like just would run out of the room, and my human Reiki teacher said, "Oh, your energy is so strong. It's too strong. It's just too much for them to handle," and blah blah blah. Just that whole, but it just the that aspect of human Reiki just for whatever reason didn't connect with me. I just wasn't really getting it. I was more drawn to animals, and then I took the Animal Reiki course with Leah a year ago. I was in the class with Mel, and it just, the whole world just turned 180, and it just got a whole new view of Reiki, human and animal, and it's just been a life-changing experience for me, and I just love it. And I just incorporate more what I've learned on the animal side, and the just the Reiki in general, with distant Reiki, and not so much needing the hands-on type aspect of it. I do a lot of distant Reiki for friends and such, but I use more of the techniques that I learned in the animal side than the distant Reiki on the human side. So it just resonates with me so much better. And it just is, I'm more in my realm with this, with this aspect, and learning the Reiki from the Japanese roots, as opposed to other lineages of Reiki. So whichever human Reiki, you're trained in, Lois, or Laura, it's just this is just, it feels so right for me. So it's just
Yeah.
my experience.
Thank you, Darlene. Laura, did you want to say something?
I do. I'm gonna say I actually came from an animal world. So I studied to be a zookeeper. And
Okay.
then I actually became I worked in zoos for a little bit, and like volunteered and stuff. And then I worked in the shelter world. So this to me makes perfect sense, because for me, like approaching an animal, you have to be able to allow them to come into your space and not be in their space, etc. So like the philosophy just like completely made sense when I was reading about it and listening to the first video. And then I teach the Usui Ryoko method as well, because I'm a Reiki master. I just became a Reiki master recently. And the whole fact that meditation was the initial thing that Usui did, that just like completely, it was like a spark in my head, like this is what I want to be doing. I don't want to be just like hands-on all the time. And like when I studied Reiki the first time, like 12 years ago, I was actually in the zoo world, and I used to be so afraid to use my Reiki on the animals, because I thought people would think I was crazy and all that sort of stuff. So I'm kind of glad that I'm doing this course so that I can actually bring it into the places that I used to work, and do it in such a way that it makes sense to people.
Right.
Yeah. So, and one more thing about that, I used to do Reiki, like the human style Reiki, on my Labrador, and she actually would come to me for Reiki. So I would wait until she came to me for Reiki, and she would put herself on me and like be like Reiki, like just place her body in a place where I could put my hand, and then she'd make, like have me do Reiki for her. So I learned a lot from her teaching me about Reiki. So I'm glad I'm doing this now.
Thank you, Laura. Yeah. And isn't that true? I think it's so wonderful, that you work with the animals and you recognize that you learn that when you're in the animal world on how you approach them. And that's so, so important. And, you know, especially if you're around wild animals, and Darlene knows this, some of them you just can't go up and touch because it wouldn't be healthy for you. But the thing with this that I love is that it's about our practice. And the more we practice, the more we're just constantly in this state. So whether you're cleaning kennels, or you don't have to be in a formal meditative state. You can just be going about your business. You can set your intention. You can be cleaning kennels, whatever, and the animals will respond. So the other day I was at the park and I was walking Bella, and I saw this big dog running loose, and she's okay with other dogs as long as they don't come up to her. She's just like pretty independent and just stay away. And so I like turned around and it was running away from us. And I thought, oh, okay, I'll keep an eye on it. And then I turned around and looked at it, and the dog stopped and looked at me. And I thought, oh no, it's coming over here. I know it's coming over here. And so I just kept walking, and I would kind of look behind me, and the dog would be a little bit closer. And then I thought, okay, I better pick Bella up because I don't need any drama here. And the next time I turned around, the dog was right by my side. And she was very happy and, wanted to play with Bella, but that wasn't going to happen. And, she wasn't chipped. Obviously, she'd had puppies. Don't know if she got dumped there or what her story was. But we did at least get her in a safe place, and, hopefully she'll get a home or reunited, whatever the situation is. But I knew right away. And it was interesting because I wanted to give some water. I actually put her in the ball field because there was ball fields there. So I shut the gate and put her in there. And there was another woman with me. And there was a park guide there. So I went up to him and told him what we'd done. This dog was running loose, and asked for some water, if he had a bucket or a dish. And he filled up this big bucket and brought, and he was going to take it in. And the dog backed up and growled. And it's like, okay, just put it down and we'll take care of it. We'll go in and give her the water. And she was just the sweetest thing. I don't know if she was afraid of men or what it was, but I've found that they find you, and you don't have to be sitting in formal meditation for this to work, but you do have to do your own practice. The more you do that, the more the animals will respond. And I don't know if anybody has any comments about that on their experiences. Yeah, Mary Lynn.
Yeah,
I do.
when I am,
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mel.
no, I got a quick one. It's just it's the same thing. Like I went to PetSmart the other day and I was standing in line, and there was a lady in front of me with her dog. Her dog was it was almost like almost adult, but still kind of puppy, but very anxious of being in line. So I just kneeled down and put my hand out, and the dog came right over, and he was just, he just started sniffing my hand and all. And then I'm like, how are you doing today? And I just talked to the dog, and then he comes over and he plants a big smooch right on my lip. And and then he looked at me, and then he was fine. So it's true. They'll reach out to you if they feel that from you coming up, even if you're just at the grocery store or anywhere, they just know how to get what they need when they need it.
Yep. Mary Lynn, what would you like to add?
Yeah. Well, it's about the attracting a lost animal. It was soon after I had finished level 1 and level 2 of Animal Reiki through the ICRT program. So my husband and I were walking our dog, and a car stopped beside us and have you seen so-and-so description of the dog and the name? And we said no, but we'll keep our eyes out for it. Okay. So we're walking along, and it occurred to me, why don't I activate Reiki, call upon my angels, my guides, and see if that'll help bring the dog around. If the dog, she seemed to think that the dog was in our area. So I'm telling you, after, I activated Reiki, I called upon my angels. No sooner that I did that my husband points up and down from the hill. He says, "Is that a dog?" And I'm looking, and and yes, it was a dog. And the description was exactly the description the woman gave. So now imagine, I'm standing there, the dog is coming right close to me and all but I have no leash. And I was the dog just had to walk beside me and continue along the path, where then I followed it, a good enough distance so I wasn't frightening it, and calling its name and letting it know I'm a friend. 45 minutes of this, that we went. Now I live in a rural area, so I followed this dog over it through forest, over stone wall, over fallen trees, logs. And I was getting closer each time, and it was a response. It slowed down, let me say this. So I thought, oh, maybe, this is going to work. In the meantime, the police car was circling around, but I couldn't contact the police because I was in the woods. So I see the dog coming up to the side of the road, crosses the road, and begins to walk up someone's driveway. So I scurry along. I get up the driveway, and there's the dog. No one was home. There were a couple of cars in the driveway. So I see the dog standing between the two cars. So I was talking to it, calming it down, asking permission. May I come sit with you? And may I touch you and pet you? I'm a friend, blah, blah. I know where your mommy is, da, da, da. So sure enough, she was fine, sweet and all. As soon as I connected with the dog physically, I looked down the hill, and there's the woman's car. And so I'm yelling, "Hey, we're here, we're here." She comes right up, opens the door, and in flies the dog. So I got the story that her son let the back door open, and the dog, ran out. But she was not the caretaker. She was a dog sitter for her friend who was away. So you can imagine she was like just bewildered and all. So anyway, so that was very nice. So on the way home, I am like, thank you. I'm calling upon all my angels, my guides, Reiki, and I'm saying, thank you. And realizing, I go, wow, this really does work. I really, the Reiki brought that dog down to me, and we found, anyway. So it was, I really think it came because it was attracted to the Reiki in me.
Thank you, Mary Lynn, for sharing that. And that's some great points. So, you know, we become Reiki. It's not something we necessarily have to do. And so that was shown in everybody's stories, you know, that we don't need to touch or try to force our will on the animal. They follow willingly or not, you know, it's always their decision. And we always say that it's up to them. So we kind of ask permission, you know, whether or not everybody uses guides and angels. Some people do, but we ask permission of the animals, right? And then the last thing, especially like Mary Lynn did, was be grateful. You know, thank the animal for, you know, participating with us, however they participated. And in her case, it was a very happy story because got home where he was supposed to be. The pet sitter was relieved. Can you imagine? That would be scary.
Phew.
So yeah, you know, those are great stories that represent what our session is all about. It's about us becoming still. It's about us allowing the animals to participate however they want and us not forcing our will on them. You know, another thing that maybe we didn't mention in our stories, but it's true, is that we always see the perfection in the animal. And that means we don't go in and feel sorry for them. And if you've been in shelters and you work with animals, sometimes that can be hard because some of the stories are really tough. But we see that perfection, that same divine light that's inside of us is inside of them. And that's the connection we're making. We're doing away with the separateness and focusing on the oneness that we have with all beings. So,
Mhm, mhm.
yeah. And Darlene has somebody joining her there.
Darlene,
My
Yeah,
guys have been climbing all over me.
what do you call, what type of animal is that?
She's a bearded dragon. Her name is Sage.
Oh, Sage. Oh,
Hi,
of course.
Sage.
Yeah, Sage. Hi. Oh, you look very happy and content.
She was wanting out. She was scratching on her glass, so I brought her out. So
Okay, so Laura, you might be interested to know Darlene has quite a few reptiles.
Oh, I love reptiles. I had 2 snakes, actually 3 at some point. And I long time ago, I dated a herpetologist.
nice. I've got 4 snakes, 2 king snakes and 2 corn snakes, and 10 bearded dragons and other geckos and tortoises, and now Sage is wanting to climb down my back.
Yeah. Oh, my guys were like climbing all over me a minute ago. It's like, okay, now everybody's laying down.
Oh, you know, I have a comment, if I may, Jamie, about.
Yes, go right
something
ahead.
You just said about animals who are in shelters and they're anxious and offering Reiki. Yet yesterday, when I got to the shelter, I was informed that I couldn't go, I couldn't see the dogs. I couldn't go or have them come out, have one come out to me as they usually do. Because, or go into the room that they're in. They were little tummy problem going around, little tummy virus. So I said, well, I can stand outside, you know, close in the hallway. I don't have to see them, or they, you know, that's fine. So I'm in the lobby discussing my plan, and I'm hearing this high-pitched cry, whine, cry, which is unusual. I mean, that doesn't happen usually. And I asked, you know, what's that? You know, and it was a dog who was surrendered a week ago. And it has had some very serious separation anxiety. So I I said, okay, what's the name? Got the name. And so I went close by in the hallway. Nobody saw me. And I I spoke personally to Orbit telepathically, and asked his permission, if I could offer, said, I'd like to offer you Reiki. But before I do that, I spoke to him about, I wondered, I asked, do you know why you're here? And no. So I gave him a brief explanation of why he was there, about the people who are caring for him, about how, they're full of love for him. They're caring with love and affection and concern, and they're going to be looking for a loving, caring home where you'll have your needs, met. So then I offered Reiki, and the Reiki was flowing. And I was pretty deep into it. And after I finished, for about 10 minutes, as I'm roaming around, I hear no crying for about 10 minutes. And that I reported that to the manager, and so she was happy to hear that. But I really think that Orbit was calmed a little bit, felt a little more calm. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that, Mary Lynn. And that's a good point to bring up, because Mary Lynn is very intuitive, as I know Mel is. So they use communication as well. And I just want to, make sure, especially people who are new to Let Animals Lead, it is not animal communication. It's definitely a meditative form of animal Reiki. It's just that we happen to have some ladies who are very intuitive and kind of can use both those modalities. So we're not saying that Let Animals Lead is the same as animal communication.
Yeah.
No.
I understand that because I'm also intuitive. So I always
Okay.
have to separate with, I do vibrational sound as well. And when I do vibrational sound, I keep it at, I'm doing vibrational sound. And if somebody wants to hear the intuitive message, then they can ask me, but I don't say anything. And
Right.
other than that.
Yeah, it becomes a balancing act, doesn't it?
It does. Like when I it's not that I often try to actively communicate with an animal, but when I connect with one, they communicate with me. So it's coming from them first, and then I reach out. It's like then I communicate back with them, and it's great because that's why I know they're open to it. But being an animal Reiki practitioner versus human practitioner allows me to really get into, with the meditation part of it, to open up a new channel, that because it's a gift that I have that I can access, or that I can use with my Reiki. But the Reiki itself is just fantastic to use. I mean?
Yeah. Oh, yes. And I really make a point in keeping both separate. And that's why I initially asked Orbit if he, well, I didn't tell you this, but I asked if he would like to chat with me briefly. And I heard, I heard a yes, received a yes. And then I asked the question, do you know why you're here? And because I thought that would be important, in trying to assuage his anxiety a little bit. And
Well,
you
it's like
feel-
the dog at PetSmart, the same thing. She was very anxious, and then I just kneeled down and I just looked at her. I'm like, "Are you okay?" And then she understood what I was saying, and then she came over and gave me a big smooch. So it's like, and that's never happened. You have no idea how happy. I was just glowing on the inside. I was like, "This is great." I'm like, "I love this." But I mean, you can use both tools to see how to react to it, but the energy always heats up inside of me when I know that either a person or an animal is in need of some type of healing. I start to heat up.
Yeah.
So my Reiki just activates normally, like on its own, and it's great. So this way it's kind of like a sensor that's happening inside. But yeah, it's the same thing. I just asked, and the dog came over, gave me a big smooch, and I was like, "Okay, you're fine." You just wanted some love. You wanted some attention, and that's it.
That's cute.
I
Thanks,
actually have a
Mel.
question.
Yes.
So if you're gonna go, like in one of the shelters where I live, they have a cat room and it's lined with all the cat cages, but it's one room. So if you want to go give Reiki to the cats there, and since you're not touching them, can you just sit there and give it to all the cats in the room?
Yes,
Absolutely.
that's what I do.
You don't
Mhm.
have to direct to one. Okay.
No. It goes where the Reiki knows where to go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could just go sit in the middle of the room and, set your intention that you're there to offer
Mhm.
it, and they're free to accept as much or as little as they want, and then just go into your meditation.
Okay.
And they will definitely respond that way.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just the idea, I guess, that we have to get used to, that we just become Reiki, and everywhere we go, it ripples out, our energy, our light, whatever, just ripples out, and it affects every being that comes into this ripple that we're around. Whether that's, you could be standing in line at the grocery store. I was at work one time. I used to work in the fire prevention bureau. And so there was receptionists, secretaries that stayed in most of the day. And I would come in, get my assignments, and be gone most of the day. So I didn't know, I knew some of the people that worked in the office, but I didn't have a lot of contact with them. One day I was going out the door, and this woman who I'd seen, I know what area she worked in, was coming out of the restroom, and she goes, "Oh my gosh," she said, "can I have a hug from you? You just have the most beautiful energy, and I've wanted to tell you that." So, I gave her a hug, but that's what happens when we work our program and we work on ourselves. It just ripples out, and it affects people, animals, of course, and tune into it immediately, more so than people even, because they just recognize that they're already in this place of being still and present, even though they're wild, but the stillness inside them, they're still connected to that. So they immediately respond to it. And, they speak fluent energy, whereas people don't.
Mhm.
I was gonna
Absolutely.
add, oh, sorry. Who's-
No, I just wanted to agree with Jamie. Absolutely.
So I was gonna say that since I mean, I've done Reiki for a while, but when after really getting back into it, my horse and goats and my chickens and like my animals in general, I have animals that all get along really well in anyway, because the energy in the house is just amazing. But I was gonna say my goats escape all the time. They just escape because they're goats. And for a while, it drives my husband crazy. And because it drove my husband crazy, it would make me really angry too, or I'd get angry. So the goats would be like, "Oh my gosh, she's going to eat me because she's coming to get me to put me back in." When I took that away and stopped allowing what he was feeling to affect me. And I would walk over, they just follow me back in and go right back in now. And my rooster was attacking me because he was sensing this energy, and now he does it. So it's like Reiki shifted my life completely. So my life is Reiki. And it's amazing that reading about or like listening to all of this, it just like it feels right to just be able to have this in my life, and it affects the other people around me as well, and things change and the animals change. And the other thing I was going to say is my horse, I can feel his energy all the way in my bedroom, and he's like outside in the field, and in the morning it's like, you're awake, okay, come outside. Kind of like, and I just feel his energy in the house, and then I go out and it's just like this huge energy coming out of this horse. And I mean, he is energy, that's it.
Mhm.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. Yeah, Mary Lynn.
I'm good.
I have a question about that. About something you said, Jamie, about we shine our, I mean, the Reiki energy it just shines through, shines from us, expands around. Just walking around. Yes. However, that got me to thinking, isn't there a time when it would be a good idea to not shine it out? Meaning
Yes, protection.
the heart not always being open for everybody all the time, but can we take a break from being available for people?
That's
I
a good question. I kind of see where you're going with that.
I don't mean
because-
for days and weeks. I mean
Right.
maybe a couple hours.
Yeah. So for me, I look at it this way, and it could be different for everybody. So I want to hear what everybody has to say about this. I don't feel like I am opening myself up, like I'm doing something. This is who I am. So because I meditate every day, and we know that meditation changes our brain. It rewires our brain. It makes us more compassionate. It makes us kinder. It's healthier for us. It reduces our blood pressure. So we know there are physical things that happen to our body when we meditate. But there's also, it's not like I'm doing anything, because when I sit down, even when I'm offering Reiki to animals, I'm not doing like a healing session like we think of when we're working with people. And I think that's where it gets a little confusing, because when you work with people, you're doing something, right? And so we have this idea, some of us, that, or at least I used to, that when I was, when I would say, okay, I'm gonna, turn on the Reiki and offer it to this animal even, it was like I had to do something to allow it to flow through. So it was using me in a way, I was working. And now I realize that the Reiki has been inside me all along. It's that beautiful light that is always there. It's like, you can't really turn it off. Now I have moods. Sometimes I get angry. Like I've been trying to do something on some software integration, and this morning I was like, but so I don't know how much Reiki was flowing there. But for me, it's just that I can't really stop it. I have my moods, things happen where maybe, it's not flowing as much, but because the Reiki is inside me already, it's just who I am. And so, of course, you may be in environments where you need to protect yourself. I've been in those environments through work, right? But it wasn't like when I worked in law enforcement, I go to crime scenes. I was still this energy that rippled out to, but it wasn't like I was taking in any of that. It wasn't a two-way
Ah.
street.
Oh,
So I can allow my energy to ripple out all the time, but I don't have to take in the negative or things that maybe aren't so good for me. And does
And
anybody else
how
have
do you
any?
prevent, how do you prevent that? Through your mind?
Yes, that's what I do.
Yeah.
And because when you put protection up, are we putting up a wall then to keep us from the oneness? And I think when I just connect to the oneness, even if I'm around somebody really negative, there is a part of them inside that is still that divine, beautiful light. And if I can connect to that, nothing bad will come of it, because
Mhm.
this is just such a beautiful place. And that's where we go for the healing. That's where we go for peace. That's where we go, that for all of creation. So that's where I try to go. It's the other stuff is usually the human stuff, when you start getting, oh, that person gives me kind of the creeps. Something's going on there with the ego or, their past behavior. They're definitely not connected to their source. That's not coming from source. Source isn't sending us that. So we have a choice in our mind. I mean, I can notice that, I can see that, and it's like, nah, I'm not really interested in that, and I don't want to connect with that. I recognize that you have this inside of you, this beautiful light. So I will honor that, but the rest of this I don't want anything to do with. So
I personally thought, like for me, the way I'm seeing this is, see, personally, I think you have to have separation that's healthy. You can't have enmeshment, whether it's with people or the world. I mean, I think as empaths, we have a lot of that already. And I think you need to have separation. And I think that if you can, this Reiki for animals is basically glowing your own light and inviting them in, but keeping separation. And I think that's one of the reasons the animals are receptive to it, because you're not trying to get anything from them. You're not trying to take from them or meet with them or mesh with them, or, you know what I mean? You're just being, and you're just being rather than trying to take or give, and I think that's probably why it works.
mhm.
And I think also that's healthy I personally think that's healthy for people too. You don't want to have enmeshment. You want to be who you are and glow. And like anything else, whatever is, the good will be attracted to that. And sometimes the bad is too. So at some point, you got to protect yourself too. You can't, that's what I think. That's the way I look
Yeah,
at it. Yeah.
it's not so much actually putting up a wall, but it's more setting healthy boundaries. And
Yes.
animals know how to do that.
Yes.
Animals know how to do that instinctually, because they have to, through survival instinct, they have to know how to set a healthy boundary with any other animals, for example, or humans, because most animals, especially in the wild, are scared of us. So it's about setting healthy boundaries, and those are good for you and for the other people or the other situation or animals, and whatever it is. It's not a wall, but it's just a boundary.
Right.
And sometimes it can take a long time to actually learn how to have a healthy, and that's like the key word, boundary, and not just saying no and throwing your ego out there. And because the ego will put that block up, and then nothing can come in, and nothing good can come out. It's just you release your ego, and anything can't come in, because the ego is so much bigger and so much stronger than um not stronger, but like it's not a good thing. So when you pull back and you're like, okay, hold on a second, let me set a healthy boundary, then it's an equal thing for both parties, situations, animals, whatever it is. And then you can go from there. But you don't, you still can shine your light because you're doing it for yourself first and foremost. A healthy boundary is for you and not for others or against others.
Right.
Yeah.
I love that, Mel. And
Right.
I've heard it said that if you want to understand boundaries and consent, get a cat.
Oh, yeah.
Because they know how to put boundaries in place, don't they?
So my view of Reiki is that it is a universal source of energy. So when Reiki is flowing through me to somebody, while when it just switches on and I'm in a room and like my hands get really hot and my body gets really hot, I feel I go into this mindset of, this person needs it. They're not draining my energy. I don't feel tired. So I'm going to let the Reiki go through. And I have a boundary, like a bubble technique. So I know when I'm protecting myself from something. So I just allow it to go through. Later today, I'm going to be working at a rescue mission for homeless people. And whenever I'm in that room, I always feel my hands get really, really hot because all the people in that room need a little bit of light in their lives. So I feel that I don't feel drained afterwards because I feel protected and everything by just the boundaries, like everybody said, like the boundaries that I've set. So I allow it to flow, and then the room just feels so much more peaceful. I mean, we have people that have mental breakdowns in the class occasionally, and sometimes when there's a couple of Reiki masters in there, we don't have the same thing happen because we're just sitting there and holding space for the people and allowing them to come to us. Like the same with animals, like it's just them feeling safe around people who are. What I do is we're doing poetry and teaching them to write poems about emotional release. So not necessarily, we do fun things and we write things like poems about Christmas and stuff, and they get to have fun and just kind of be in a different place. And so that's how I kind of see it, is that I'm not really giving people my energy. I'm giving them that they're getting the energy from a different place, and it's just coming through me.
Laura, I have a question. My hands, like right now, I'm like super hot, and I'm not anything. It's just like my Reiki is just because I'm connecting to all of you, and I love connecting to this on Wednesdays, because sharing these stories is just so amazing, and just feeling the energy. Like, I really should take my hoodie off right now because I feel like I'm sitting in a sauna. But I was wondering, is there ever a time when your Reiki, like the heat of the energy, where it's physical, where it activates, but it feels like it's restricted, like it's not supposed to, like it's like stuck in your hands, for example. So it's like it doesn't feel comfortable, the Reiki of it, like it's being restricted from like flowing out, but not because you're restricting it, but maybe it's not supposed to go out. I don't know. I have this happen every so often, and I don't know what to think of it.
I haven't had the same experience, but I understand what you're saying. I think maybe when a certain circumstance like that comes up, intuition. So if your intuition is telling you that it's not supposed to go there, then there's a reason, probably. And then it might be that the person isn't open to it.
Yeah, it happens randomly, not like directed to people or anything. It's just maybe, I don't know, maybe it's not built up all the way. I don't know. It's just a weird thing. I don't know. I've never asked anyone else about it and stuff. So, but yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so we are at 11:27, and we always end with a short little meditation. So I will go ahead and guide us through a meditation if everybody wants to get comfortable. And then just, go ahead, relax, have your spine straight, but not too stiff. Close your eyes. Take a couple of deep breaths just to relax any stress of the day. I know we're just getting started, most of us, but. And then on your next inhale, breathe in through your nose and pull that breath all the way down to your belly. And then as you exhale out, allow this breath to go back out into the space around you. Now, this time, as you breathe in, pull the breath down, visualize a bright light down in your hara, that energy center just below your belly button. And it grows brighter with the breath. And then as you exhale, this light goes out with your breath, out through your skin, your hands, your breath into the space around you. Take another breath in, and your breath just fans that light like it does with a fire. So the light is growing brighter now. And then exhale it back out into the space around you. Take another breath in, pull it all the way down to the belly, really ignite the light. And exhale this light out. Another breath in, ignite the light. Your whole body is glistening now with this beautiful light. And then exhale it back out into the space around you. Take a breath in, pull it all the way down, igniting the light, and exhaling it out as the space grows larger and larger. Breathe in and exhale out. Another breath in and exhale out. Now allow your breath to find a natural rhythm and just sit in the space that you've created. See your body just glistening. Every cell is glistening with this healing light. You're surrounded with this healing light. It goes out around you, into the room, into the community. Back to the heavens. And just sit. And now set your intention and invite any animal that would like to join you in this space that you've created. Let them know they can come forth and sit in this light. However they participate or don't participate is just fine. And just stay present with your breath and this light. And just stay present. And now go ahead and bring your hands into Kaso or the prayer position. Give thanks to whoever joined you in this space, or just for this Reiki space in general. Now take a deep cleansing breath and pull it all the way down to the hara. This is bringing you back to the room you're in, the chair you're in, bringing you back to this reality, only a little bit more peaceful. And then when you're ready, go ahead and open your eyes. Well, thank you. Thank you, Laura, and Darlene, and Mel, and Lois, and Mary Lynn. It was so wonderful to see you again this week.
Yes.
And I hope we see you again. Darlene, I hope you can make it to some of the meetings.
Yep, thank you. I'll try. So
All
good to
right.
see
So
you all.
everybody have a great day and a
Enjoy.
great week.
Nice
Thank
to meet
you.
you, Laura and
Bye-bye.
Lois. Thanks, Jamie. Bye,
Here.
Mel. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Good luck
Bye.
tomorrow, Darlene.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Yeah.